Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Red with a Splash of White podcast. This week, it's a special. We said we'd give you a bit of a surprise, and hopefully we're delivering. It's an NFL special, so we're going to basically look at all the teams from the bottom or the first round draft pick right up till 16th, and then look at the playoffs and how they've gone so far and how we think they'll go. If it's sort of not obvious already, I'm a Dolphins fan, sadly, and sometimes. Klein, you are, if it's not obvious.
I am a 49ers fan.
And Mr. Harper.
Carolina Panthers fan.
Well, there we are. So none of our teams in the playoff, which is just unfortunate. But I'm sure we'll love. So starting off, as I said, starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who this season went 1-15. They went a 15-game losing streak. I mean, what went wrong?
Well,
That was a true. Oh, go ahead, Klein.
it was expected. Jacksonville is a team they made that's been falling apart over recent years. The trades of Jalen Ramsey, the fact that Bowles was kept for so long when he was a terrible quarterback. I had one good season, as Harper knows. We seen him at Wembley, and he was brutal against the Eagles. They made stupid investments. The investment in Foles after that. The investment in Foles they made.
That was after the Super Bowl. Was that after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was a brutal investment. Thankfully, the Bears picked that up, but they do have a promising future. I find there's a lot of, as Kai probably knows, they have a lot of cap space. They work with
100 million or something like that.
100 million cap space they work with, and it's going to be bright times ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you look in terms of their number one draft pick. I found it was a quarterback. I mean, that sort of says everything. It just backs up everything you're saying, Klein, and that they need a new quarterback. I mean, in terms of being a casual fan, as a self-proclaimed casual fan, in recent memories, the Jags have always been sort of known for their defense. I remember it was 2 or 3 seasons ago. Their defense is one of the best in the leagues. Has there been any big trades that have sort of maybe not helped?
As Klein mentioned, Ramsey was one in the secondary. They missed him big time. But it was a tank season for the Jags. That was their plan.
Well, I mean, 15 game losing streak says that.
Get as many draft picks as they want and build for the future. As like Clyde said, bright future ahead.
Yeah. So we think, maybe if not next season, maybe the next few seasons, it'll be more of a building process for it.
Yep. First pick is Trevor Lawrence. A must. Clemson University. He's been there a few years, young. Bring him in. It should be. There's nothing to worry about, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, they have something to build off of. I mean, in terms of, to make a football analogy, you build from the back. You have a good defense, or you have a good defense in football.
Core,
build from there. And that's the quarterback is obviously your core in the NFL. I think we've sort of covered the Jags there in terms of quarterly basis. Any more points maybe needs to be made?
Urban Meyer they brought in. Urban Meyer, mostly known for Ohio State, was there for about 6 years, and then retired due to health. I think he had some health problems. Now he's back now. Probably the main reason he's getting paid a lot of money. And he said he wants to go into a situation that he knows he can win in. And he's a bucket load of picks to be able to do that. So it's exciting now for Jags fans.
Yeah. Yes. In terms of Myers, I really am showing my casualness here. Myers is a coach.
Yep.
Myers is a coach. Yeah, he's never coached in the NFL. He's a college coach.
Yes. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 187 wins and 32 losses in his career in the NFL, in the college. He's dominant. Ohio State.
He's not done.
He's a mastermind, basically.
Yeah.
Just never had the chance at the NFL level.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, obviously there's not a massive step up from college football to the NFL because obviously players do it every year on year, but there is that difference to it.
There's definitely a change. Like you can tell college players, you can tell them exactly what to do. They're not going to speak back. They're going to listen.
Yeah.
But
there's no egos.
Difference between grown men that they're not going to take any stick off you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that idea of being a good man manager and knowing how to know when to put your arm on somebody's shoulder and know when to really give them a stick because they'll respond well. Yeah. So as we said, hopefully a bright future for the Jags. I'm moving on from the bottom of the pile to they were second bottom of the pile, and the New York Jets. They went 2-14. And again, we're talking about a quarterback for the Jags. They're also going for a quarterback in their predicted drafts.
Well, the interesting
Jets.
The hire of the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, Robert Saleh, who has been removed from the 49ers. It is very depressing for a 49ers fan, as our defense is, even with all the injuries, we still were the 5th defense in the league. But good point to put forward for the Jets. The fact they're keeping Sam Darnold at the moment, their quarterback that they have at the moment. This gives them so much leverage going into this draft.
Yeah.
Because there are people like the 49ers who might go for a quarterback, might trade up. So this gives them so much leverage, because they can just ask for anything, really. What they need.
As you say, Clyde, second pick. I like Darnold, but I think Zach Wilson, I think, is the gamble too.
Yep. Possibly.
If they don't take Zach Wilson, trade back, as you say, gather up a lot of picks.
Yeah.
Joe Douglas, GM, he worked well with the Eagles. He seems to know what he's at. And then bringing in Salah, leadership, players who want to play for him. Future's bright for the Jets
again. You're talking about Robert Salah. Obviously, Klein, you've obviously known him from 49ers. How do we think? I mean, he's no longer defensive coordinator now. I think he's now the new head coach of the Jets. Obviously, that's a different role. How do we think? How do you think it'll go for him?
Well, with the people he's going to rumored to bring in, he's taken some 49. I think he's taken some 49er staff with him. Which is unfortunate again. But he's going to shore up that defense 100%, because they were 26th in points allowed last season. That the defense obviously was missing a lot of people. Their franchise middle linebacker, CJ Mosley. They lost Jamal Adams last year.
Avery Williamson got traded. These are big time players who have lost in that Jets defense. But there is a point they put forward to for this draft. If they do keep Darnold and they think Darnold is the future, do they take Sewell? Harper, I wanted to ask you that question. Do you think they'll take Sewell if they do stick quarterback? Suppose they have, what do you call him? What do you call the big man, left tackle? Mekhi Becton. Suppose they have him. Unless they move one into guard or something like that.
Or they
trade back.
That's two big men.
It's two, you picture your running game with that. If they don't take a quarterback, trade back, I think you're looking maybe at a corner, or give Darnold a weapon. Devontae Smith, you could trade back into the middle, trade back to 6 or 7. Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase. Give Darnold, if they keep him, another weapon.
100%.
Are you happy, Clyde, that Salah got his chance?
I'm delighted for him that he's got his chance. I'm really sad that he's gone. D'Amico Ryans is replacing him. Great coach. Obviously, he's inside linebacker coach. He coached Fred Warner. Obviously, in my opinion, and I think in yours, the best middle linebacker in the league. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think he will work wonders for them. And if he doesn't come back to the Niners, I'd love him come back when you want.
Fair play to Salah, he's deserved it.
100%. He's such a force. He's such he hypes everybody up. He's on the sideline screaming every game, every play. He's a great guy. He's hilarious.
So as you said, Harper, he's a player or he's a coach that you want to play for. Which is really important.
100%.
Happy. I mean, I think we've covered all bases in terms of the Jets. I'm moving on to the next team, which is the Houston Texans, who went 4-12. And I mean, from just doing basic research on them, this is a really interesting year for them because they've traded away both their first and second round picks. I mean, is it too much of a generic question to ask why? I mean, surely a first and second picks is a bit mad.
Yeah. Well, what happened? The Texans last year were a wild card chance for the Super Bowl. They really were. They had some great prospects, and then they traded for Larry Tunsil off the Dolphins. It was a big trade. Traded for Kenny Stills as well. That's where the picks came from. But it was the whole thing. They've got a great offense. The offense is amazing. They were fourth in passing, 13th in total yardage. The one thing, if that team had a running back, I think they'd be amazing. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson.
David
the
Henry
best receiver
Johnson.
in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Johnson's terrible contract for a terrible player.
That's all.
Very interesting to see.
That's all on Bill O'Brien. He get head coach plus the GM.
He's basically given control of the whole team.
It was. He obviously just didn't like DeAndre Hopkins and wanted any way to get rid of him, and that must have been the best package deal he got.
Yeah.
Just thought, right, get rid of him. He obviously felt comfortable in his job being GM and head coach. Must have thought, oh, they're not going to get rid of me.
Mm-hmm. It's now backfired.
Nick Caserio, though, it backfired on Nick Caserio now in a GM who they brought over from the Patriots. He's got a lot of work in his hands. Deshaun Watson's not happy. As if you're on Twitter, you'll see I don't think he wants to be there.
No.
Are you taking him playing with the Niners or?
Well, he's up there as one of the best QEs in the league at the minute. I'd take him, but if we trade the human cheat code, I will cry.
What would you give for him?
I'd give them, if they want Garoppolo, I'd give them to him. I'd trade Garoppolo. I'd want Garoppolo. The Niners want Garoppolo as their quarterback. Kittle loves him. Kittle obviously the best. Number one or two tight end in the league, depending on whether you like blocking or not.
Would you give Garoppolo this year's 12th pick and the next 2 first-round picks?
You can see the calls.
For a man that on our offense could seriously be MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had an amazing passing season. The things he could do.
Yeah.
I don't remember who he was playing, but when he was about last season, he was about to get sacked. He spun out of it, got kicked in the face by a boy coming around, and then still threw the touchdown to Darren Fells. He's such a great QB.
Yeah.
I would love him at the Niners. But the point that now they have to get this head coach. They have to get the head coach. That maybe will settle.
What do you call him? The man used to be head coach of the Lions.
Yes. What's his name?
I can't remember his name, but he's the so-called favourite. But Eric Bieniemy, he supposedly doesn't want anything to do with the Texans. Joe Brady from the Panthers apparently nailed his interview. They might bring in a young mind to keep Watson happy. In terms of Watson to the Niners, I think them 3 first-round picks is no-brainer. Niners are stacked everywhere.
Yep.
Throw them in there, let them throw to your wide receivers, yards after catch. They'll be hard to stop.
Yep.
So I mean, is this the first? Is this the first team that we're saying in terms of the bottom 3 sides? We're saying there isn't any potential future for them, or good future for them, but we're struggling to see it as it stands.
Yeah, it's going to be a long few years.
It is.
It's
going to go back. Like there's certain players that they had disadvantages. Like Will Fuller had an amazing game at one station in the week, and then got popped for PEDs.
PEDs, yeah.
banned for 6 games. Like,
Yep.
it's just the fact that they're so down their luck. They lost a lot of O linemen.
I think Tunsil too was out. Tunsil was out for a good
Tunsil
while.
was out. Titus
Yeah.
Howard was
Titus
out.
Howard, yeah. Then your quarterback's getting put on his back. That doesn't help things.
It's like as Watson said when DeAndre Hopkins got traded, he was at angry level 2. Now he's at an angry level 10.
Level 10, yeah.
So it's going to fall apart. It's going to go. It depends just on who he goes to now. At that point.
That's the question.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that stood out for me as a casual fan was just the lack of, or the fact they're looking for a new GM and the new head coach. I mean, it just screams disarray to me, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Texans not in the best of situations at the moment and don't look to be going into any better situations.
No. Well, the fact that their defense was so dominant for years. They had Clowney, that he's gone. JJ Watt, he was injured.
Yep.
Came back.
He's not happy, Don either.
He's not happy. Like he's arguing with Ross Blacklock. They're flipping his own teammate for not doing stuff. It's just falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of JJ Watt, I mean, he's a great player. Do we see him going anywhere? Do you see anybody?
No, I say he's too loyal to the Texas as itself.
Okay, yeah.
Like the stuff he's done, for the people at Texas
community.
Houston, all after all the flooding and stuff
his age as well. He's getting up there and he's probably nearly passing his prime. If anything,
he's fallen off now.
Yeah,
he's fallen off a wee bit, but he's still
a monster.
It's bad when you're saying he's fallen off, but he's still flattening people nearly every week.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take him on. You know,
like if you ever watched Hard Knocks, the documentaries the NFL do about the training camps. I mind watching. They threw starters versus starters on the goal line against Alfred Blue. The fact he came off the line when there was 5 people in his way, flattened them, fumbled, they got the ball. Like he's that amazing.
Yeah, he's a monster. So as we say, the Texans not looking too great.
It's going to be a long time.
Yeah. Moving on from the Texans, we're now moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. 4-12 this season. A Super Bowl finalist. I mean, a few years ago, whenever we were still in school, obviously a friend of ours is a big Falcons fan, and he was buzzing at the time. But
Matthew McGee.
Yeah, but what has gone wrong? Do you think?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of injuries themselves on defense. Matt Ryan's still an elite quarterback. I think many teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Julio Jones, he was injured quite a lot. Wide receiver.
Another candidate for best receiver.
Top 3 in the league. 4th overall pick. I don't know, Justin Fields maybe. Ohio State.
I think they will get his replacement now. If they keep him, same situation as Brett Favre, maybe Rodgers, keeping him behind him, same situation as Fitzpatrick is doing now. They're not Fitzgerald with Tua. But that's the thing. They fired Dan Quinn during the season, and they fired Dimitrov, their GM, after 5 games. Dan Quinn he's a thief. He is a defensive-minded player. Obviously, he got hired to be the Cowboys' new defensive coordinator now. But that's the thing. If you look, Arthur Black, the owner, has said that no player is off limits. So they're willing to get rid of. If they want to do it, they're willing to get rid of Julio. They're willing to get rid of Matt Ryan.
They blew too many games. Dallas started the season. They were up huge and threw away an onside kick and give it away. There's a few games they got throughout the season.
Yeah.
If they don't get Justin Fields, I think Penny Sewell, would be another option.
Yeah.
Get another monster at O-line, protect Ryan even more.
Yeah, Matthews is getting on in age.
Looks like it hasn't been announced yet, but Terry Fontenot from the Saints is rumored to be the next GM.
Yep.
And then tonight, Ian Rappaport mentioned Arthur Smith, from the offensive coordinator from the Titans, coming over to be the new head coach. I don't know a lot about the pair, but
I can see it being wrong game.
Yeah, if Gurley can stay healthy. Yeah.
Gurley decides he doesn't want to fumble the ball.
But Atlanta have the players to cause damage.
They had big injuries, four big players injuries like this season. Jones was injured, DeCrest Denard was injured, Grady Jarrett was injured, and so was Kazee. Those are four major players on that team. Three of them in defense. But they have some big spots. Calvin Ridley, one of my favorite receivers that isn't a 49er.
He's great.
Foya Sadaluakon, 117 tackles, linebacker. Great player. I agree with what you said. The fourth pick, I think they're going to go replacement. Get an understudy. It's going to be someone that's going to sit behind them, or they're going to trade him. As to whether you're right, Zach Wilson might be there.
I really hope he ain't there. I really hope he ain't.
Obviously because they're in your division, that's going to be brutal for you. That's the thing. What I was going to say, your division could end up now being very open because Breeze goes. I don't see it. Breeze is going to retire, I think, after broken ribs. He's going to retire.
Breeze is done.
Brady, who knows? Brady
Another
could
few
play
years.
all his career if he wants to play for years. He could just go to a different team if he wanted to. And then, of course, I see good stuff for Hughes, but we'll get on to that in a wee while.
So, I mean, Atlanta Falcons, what are you thinking?
They're going to nothing to worry about. They'll be a force.
Yeah, well, it's been happy days. That's the first positive sort of currently that we found. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals. They went 4-11-1 this season. And in terms of when I was looking, just sort of doing a bit of basic research, they're looking at a defensive tackle in the draft. Is that the real area they need to look at in terms of improving?
I think O-line or wide receiver.
Yep.
P.I. Soil, I think, will be there.
Yep.
Will be there. He's been rumored to go there for a long time. Left tackle, Oregon. If not, I'd like to see them Jamar Chase, LSU, pair him back with Burrow. That could be interesting. Bengals had an interesting season. They started off pretty poor. And then, of course, Burrow got injured, didn't help things. 4-11-1 record. But I think this is a big year for head coach Zach Taylor. He's had two pretty poor seasons. I think the fans are expecting a better year this year.
Yeah, make or break for him, really.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the team, their injuries, their two mainstays in that last draft. Logan Wilson was out, Burrow was out. Then you have to look at it. William Jackson III and Mackenzie Alexander, they're two starting corners out.
Yep.
Higgins, Maine, their draft pick, gone. Mixon, their star running back, who never fumbles a ball, one of the best running backs in the league. And then of course, as Greg says, the D tackles. I think it might be a good idea if they trade back even, because Geno Atkins is getting on in age.
Yep.
DJ Reader DJ Reader isn't on, he isn't.
Oh, he is.
DJ Reader was injured as well. And then obviously Jonah Williams. That gives for what I was very interested, the names you've mentioned, Chase was mentioned, but I looked at CBS's mock draft earlier on.
Yeah.
They said Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts?
I don't think Kyle Pitts is going to go that high. He's a machine tight end.
He could go top 10, but I wouldn't be trading back to take Kyle Pitts.
They said Pitts, Chase, or Rashawn Slater. Nor
Sean
like him.
Slater, he's a good tackle. He's
I don't.
an interesting one. There's rumors he said he could end up being the top tackle in the draft ahead of CL.
Yeah. Well,
I think he's
It's going to
from.
be
I think
interesting to see which one they go.
Yeah. I don't know, Bengals.
I mean, we're talking about Seal there. I mean, that was one of the points that I made. There's questions of whether they'll actually be able to get Seal, in terms of the draft.
Yeah. I think they're in prime position.
Yeah.
I think they are. I don't think, as Klein said earlier, I think Falcons are ahead of them. I think Falcons will take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be they'll first refusal basically for him, but yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bengals. What are we to surmise?
I have hope for them. They have
Did a
some
few
good
studs.
There's some good studs. They have got some gaps, but Burrow looked promising. He was getting flattened every fucking day. He had no offensive line.
No.
But he did work well under pressure until he got injured. As I counted it out, the 17 starters on that team were injured last season.
Injured.
17 starters.
They were lucky. They saw Jesse Bates fit and healthy.
Yeah, definitely. Jesse.
And they could have been even more trouble if he wasn't on that. Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, they were 27th in passing, 24th in rushing, 30th in points scored, and 21st in points allowed. They
still ended up with 4 wins.
And they still ended up with 4 wins. That's the point.
Yeah, so their offense needs big work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give him a weapon. Go get Jamar Chase. Give him a weapon.
Give him someone that he knows.
Yeah.
Give him someone he's worked with before.
Exactly.
He's going to know. They're going to know exactly what each other's going to do. So
100%. Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
So moving on to the team who have an identical record to the Bengals in the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, we talk about the Falcons being sort of in the Super Bowl a few years ago. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl a few years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. They were spot on. I mean, what is again?
Shambles.
Yeah.
No other way to put it. Players aren't buying in, but the looks of it, they have injuries everywhere. They don't know what they're doing with Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts. Like that's mainly what led to Doug Peterson getting sacked.
Yeah. Yep.
Finished last in the NFC East, which Eagles fans claim as we know in London. We were beside the Eagles fans, and they are tough supporters.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson, though, sacked after 3 years after winning the Super Bowl, and they have a statue outside the stadium of him, which is really awkward.
Yeah, it's a real kick in the proverbials.
Yeah. I think they should have held on to him.
Yeah. So it's I mean that was one of my points. Was there's questions over whether the job is attractive, and that's just backed it up. I mean they're gonna they've sacked a man who brought them a Super Bowl for it was their first ever Super Bowl? No, man.
First in a while.
First in a fair few years.
Yeah.
So I mean, and my question was going to be, why is the job not attractive? And you just answered it there. You know, if they're going to do that to a man who's brought them Super Bowl and such for the first time for such a long time, then nobody's going to stand a chance.
Like after they won the Super Bowl, there was talk they could be the new Patriots. They could be the new dynasty.
Yeah.
That is I can say how far away that is now.
Yeah.
6th pick, Devontae Smith, Alabama, wide receiver. Pitt Wentz back in and give him a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
what I wanted to say, I wanted to give you a point was, if they stick with Hurts, where do you think Wentz will go? If Wentz will not stay there, if they pick Hurts.
Indianapolis, back with Frank Reich, who was his coordinator.
That's the thing.
And then that O-line protecting him and a few receivers, I think that's a good fit for him.
The problem I had with Wentz, he was never the same after he got injured. He was so good. before he got injured, and then couldn't play in that Super Bowl.
Nope.
It was Nick Foles obviously that won it.
Of course, with the big play.
Foles winning hurt him big time.
Yeah,
mentally, I think.
For the one thing that I wanted to bring this up, the throwaway of that game last week 17. They could have easily beat Washington and let the Giants win. Let Giants get playoffs. It's really bad when you're about to say a 6-10 team could have won the division and got playoffs. It's another point I had when we were talking about the head coach. Harbour, do you think it's a point that I might put a little bit across? Do you think they'll give Deuce Staley the chance, their coordinator, because he's been such an influence on that team throughout this time. I think he deserves a chance.
There's talk about him. I think a lot of players like him. I think I've seen something on Twitter about Malcolm Jenkins or someone was chatting about him. It could be, but then they might need fresh ideas.
I think he would. I think he deserves a chance at least.
Yeah.
To be considered to do it. And again, they had some good stat. Like, look, if you look at it, they were 9th in rushing.
And that's what they had about Miley Sanders, and they didn't.
Miley Sanders. They have
no
some good bright spots. They have some. It's just the fact that they had so little passing. It is down to the fact that they did have injuries. There's the injury to Deshaun. I think Deshaun Jackson was injured at one stage.
He was injured most of the season.
They have the fact that they have the two mains. They have the two main, and then they have nothing behind them. They've nothing behind them. Greg Ward's good. Greg Ward, I like Greg Ward. He's a good wide receiver, but he's not a starter. Neither is Arcega Whiteside.
No.
It's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
Fulgham as well, wide receiver, started off bright and then fell away. Just bringing up your point of last week, throwing that game away. First, I thought they were tanking, then the more I thought about it, I think he generally wanted to play Nate Sudfeld. I was listening to Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, and they were thinking Peterson used to play quarterback himself. Did he see a bit of himself in Sudfeld and think, right, I'm going to throw him in here? Right. I like Peterson. I don't think he should have got sacked, but that could have been a sackable offense, what he did.
There's a point that it could be inquired as to why they were 16. They were only 4 points down.
Yeah.
In a game where they could have easily won it.
Jalen Hurts stays in that game, they win.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
As you tell, Crackle, we're all bright over here, nothing negative.
nothing negative.
I think that the Eagles, obviously, the Texans are a bit of a mess, but I mean, the Eagles said from listening to these two, the Eagles there's literally nothing bright about the future or even now for them. I think the standout point is the fact that the job's just not attractive at all. With their former coach getting sacked. So Eagles not looking bright or enjoyable for them in the future. So moving on again to the Detroit Lions, who went 5-11 this season. They're looking at an offensive linebacker or an inside linebacker in the draft. Are we agreeing that that's there? They really need to improve.
Go ahead, Clay.
What I hope Harbour agrees with this. Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons would be a brilliant option for them at inside linebacker. They obviously 10th in passing. Matt Stafford
he's a player.
Has been and always will be amazing. Like if you put him on a team like the Rams or something like that,
Dallas.
Dallas is good. Yep. Like if you look at a lot of injuries on their defense, they were last in points allowed. I think they allowed not 570, something 170.
Yeah.
Trey Flowers was injured. Desmond Trufant was injured. Jeff Okuda was injured. It's these big time players, and then they don't have any good they don't have good backups. That's the
no.
starting backups. That's the point. So I would.
It's tough. It really is tough. Detroit.
Do they just throw it away? I think they might. Stafford. I don't think Stafford's going to want to resign. I think maybe if they had a controversial point where we make to the trade, I think trade Stafford and get as much capital now from as they can.
Yeah, and they probably won't even get much either.
They probably wouldn't get anything. Trade Stafford away to a better situation and get draft picks and rebuild the team. That's what I was thinking.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
That's what I think they should do.
You mentioned Micah Parsons. I like him. Watching some tape with him. He did look good. Flies the ball, makes tackles. I did read stuff saying about immaturity. Apparently, he's very immature. Teams might like that. Might lead him to fall in the draft, maybe. But Detroit hired Brad Holmes as their GM from the Rams, and it's not been confirmed yet. But Dan Campbell has come over from the Saints. He was the tight end coach. Used to work with your Dolphins, Brackle.
Going well.
I don't know a lot about him, but yeah, Detroit is an awkward one to talk about though.
Yeah,
it's a situation where they've fallen behind so much. They've always had the passing game. They've just not had anything else really recently.
Yeah, there's no versatility.
They've been AP. Adrian Peterson is not a starter running back anymore.
No,
for me, like DeAndre Swift, obviously been playing a lot in the pass game.
That was a good
but
draft.
I think
that was a good pick.
It's a great draft pick. They should. I think they need to start starting him more. They were 30th in rushing yards AP now at this stage. He used to be speed. He used to be great, making all the cuts. Still a great player, but he's not the same player he was when he was at the Vikings.
Kenny Golladay too looks like he's going to be a free agent. That's a big time player.
Big loss.
Wide receiver loss. In terms of Detroit, it could go either way. Really good.
They could improve, or they could just go downhill even more.
Yeah.
I want to see them improve. I do like Detroit. I really do like Matt Stafford. I wish they did do better.
But rebuild through the draft. Get your Neil your picks. The
hire of Matt Patricia was ideal.
That set them back a few years.
They other than really Brian Flores at the minute, obviously you're man with Dolphins 110-6. He's a bright spot, but it is a point of these teams. The Belichick understudies are not doing well as head coaches.
Yeah.
The Belichick understudies aren't being in most cases.
Excuse me. Okay, I'm here. Talking about Brad Holmes, the new general manager. He was obviously at the Rams, but he was a college scouting director. I mean, in terms of, again, a casual fan, going from a college scouting director to a general manager seems to be a big jump. Am I right in that? Am I wrong?
You are in some ways, but if he's college, he'll know the college players, which will help big time in the draft. Yeah. He'll know where they look and who they. Mm-hmm. But it's still a risk, as you say.
Yeah, it's as you both say, it could go one way, it could go the other. So it's nervous times, I suppose, for the Detroit Lions fans, if you are one. And moving on from the Detroit Lions to Mr. Harper's team, the Carolina Panthers, went 5-11 this season. I think Klein will just let Harper take the floor here.
We'll just sit back and watch.
How long do we have?
2 days ago.
Matt Rule's first season. I like the hire of Matt Rule. from his very first interview, he seemed like a leader. 5-11. I mean, you spoke at the start of the season. I think we said if we even got 3 or 4 wins, I would have been happy. 5 wins with that roster is quite impressive.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Finished third in NFC. Obviously, finished above Atlanta. Got rid of Marty Herney, which I've never been more happy about in my life, as GM. And then we hired Scott Fitterher, I think, if I'm pronouncing that right, as GM last night from Seattle. He supposedly built. He done a lot of that Seattle draft alongside their GM. It's still a risk. But I'm excited. 8th pick. Ooh. I want to say trade up and get Zach Wilson, but that's going to cost a lot. If we stay at 8, Patrick Surtain, Alabama quarterback. Pair him with Deshaun Jackson. That's 2 studs. Like that is. It's in the backfield. Going to ask you, Klein. Bridgewater, how long do we give him?
Well, as you can see, from what he did at the Saints, 5-0 as a starter. I've always liked Teddy from his days at the Vikings. I always thought he's a great player. He's been concussed thousands of flipping times because he runs and he slides and he gets hit by linebackers. But what I think he's given. I think he's given 1 more year, and then
1 more year.
You've got the best backup in the league.
Well, big BJ or what? Well,
big BJ. No, that's the point. You have no backup quarterback, which is rough.
Unless we get Dwayne Haskins in, but I don't know what to think of that. The new GM has his first big decisions whether he pays Curtis Samuel or Taylor Moton. Personally, I think he has to go Taylor Moton.
I think it is.
You need
it's sad because Kirk. It's sad because Kirk was such a good player. Kirk was brilliant on his end. On his end. When he does them end arounds, he's class. I love him running an end around.
He can play running back and wide receiver. Like, you're not going to find many players can do that. But pay Taylor Moton. Curtis, he might go to Jacksonville. He might meet up again with Urban Meyer. But build from the trenches. Protect Teddy and play defense and see if that can even get us near the playoffs next year. But we need to nail the draft. But I'm excited.
However, what I want to put it forward. Would you trade McCaffrey?
Every player's a price. Depends what you're going to offer for him. I was saying to you, why do you mind about trading for him? I mean, trading him away.
Here's a wild point that you might think I'm mental for asking you. Trade McCaffrey for Dwayne Haskins, or not Dwayne Haskins for Deshaun Watson.
Straight swap.
I don't think it would be a straight swap at this point.
If it was a straight swap, I'd drive McCaffrey to Houston.
I
really would.
I think if it's a point of you're trading for Watson, maybe 1 first.
And McCaffrey.
Oh
dear.
He's the best. He's best all. And I can admit he's the best all-around offensive unit in the league.
Yep.
He gets over 1,000 rushing and passing. Receiving yards per season. He's obviously were very unfortunate. He's had 3 different offensive linemen who could play left tackle, all injured this year.
All injured, and McCaffrey as well. McCaffrey played 2 games.
Like Burns was. I think Burns was.
Burns must have few.
Obviously, your starting punter Pilardi out all season.
To be fair, Charlton was unreal. I think Charlton
did very well.
I think Charlton's got
the job.
He's got that job. I say Pilardi will get released. Dante Jackson had turf toe as well most of the year, and he had one of his best years and he had turf toe. Don't know what that's meant to say actually. He had his best year with turf toe.
Best season whilst injured.
In terms of trading for Deshaun, That's a tough call at first, and suppose he did play with Clemson. He might have a bit of a soft spot for Carolina.
Mm.
You're going to make me answer it. I'll say yes. I'll say yes.
I'm sending this to every Panthers fucking fan club in the world.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever said it, but do you know they follow me on Twitter?
I got you. I made them.
Here's a quick question, Harper. And I'm really again really show my casual fan status here. Do you miss Cam Newton?
Oh, do I miss Cam Newton?
He's wearing the jersey.
I'm wearing the jersey. I did at the start, but it got to the point then a lot of fans were complaining about it, and everything was Bridgewater's fault. Everything was Rule's fault.
Yeah.
Cam Newton had an absolute pathetic season.
Yeah, I never got any.
And it annoyed me to the point then everybody was blaming Bridgewater and Matt Rule. They got to the point is I didn't go off Newton, but I just got over it far quicker.
You got fed up, yeah. You just got, yeah. You were at your wit's end, I suppose.
He's gone. Like you have to get on with it and look ahead.
Mm-hmm. So the Panthers.
I just want to hear Clay. I want to hear Clay say a few positive things going. Clay.
A few positive things. I like Mike Davis. That's the only positive thing you're getting.
Well, there's one positive.
There is great prospect. I love Robbie Anderson. I love the four. I love Robbie Anderson. I love DJ Moore. I just think you need so many pieces on defense. I don't have faith. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have faith in Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson is
I don't have faith in him being a starting middle linebacker. Obviously,
he's 50-50.
I have another question I'm going to ask you after this, but there's the fact that I think maybe even a linebacker might be an option for you. Micah Parsons, maybe.
Could be, but the more I hear about it, I'm like, no.
The more you don't want him. It's the same situation as, do you remember? I don't know if you've seen it, but it was the same thing when Jalen Ramsey wanted paid by the Jags. He literally went to training. He went to training camp in a money truck, in a bank truck. Yeah. He came out the back of the bank truck carrying bags of money. Like, yeah. That's a thing maybe a stupid player will end up doing. Obviously, we know a lot of stupid players in the NFL doing stupid.
Well, to be fair, last year I was calling, screaming for Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, you were. I was surprised.
And I was like, I did not want Derek Brown, but when we drafted, now I'm actually, it was the right decision.
It was a very good play. Very good play. But I want to ask you that the question that you're obviously going to say yes to. Jeremy Chinn, Rookie of the Year?
No question.
No question, but will it happen?
No, Chase Young's going to get it, but
Chase Young,
I can take a full day to talk about that. I'll just
just going to say yes and move on.
Move on, Klein. Move on.
Two defensive touchdowns in 14 seconds.
Yep. Chase Young just screams and shouts, and that gets him the player. That gets the Rookie of the Year. Oh well.
No bitterness there.
No bitterness whatsoever. After that question. Just Brandon Ayuk offensive.
Jeremy Chinn's the best linebacker in the league. Moving on, Craig, go ahead.
I think we'll put Harper. I think we'll put Harper out of his misery here. Klein, don't worry. I'm sure we'll come to your misery in
we're going to come to our misery in a minute.
Definitely will.
Moving on to the Panthers, we're going to the Denver Broncos, who also went 5-11 this season. By the looks of things, their defense seems to be being improved in the offseason. Was that obviously is their big weak point?
Yeah.
Or maybe it isn't obvious.
Well, I think there's just that many holes. I want to ask Harper, do you think Drew Lock is the future?
Oh, Drew Lock. I would give him another year.
It's just the fight. They were 28th in points. They did 23rd in passing yards, so they're not terrible. 26th in passing, 13th in rushing. They do have the rushing. That's the good thing about their offense.
And
It's just the
Gordon
fact there's
as well,
like that's the thing. If you look at it, they had no Von Miller,
Nope.
one of the best outside linebackers. My nearly fucking
Ever.
ever, if you would think.
Ever.
No Cortland Sutton.
Nope.
Yeah, I think he had 3 receptions in the first game, and then he was gone.
He's gone a bad injury.
It's the fact that they've got so many gaps. They could pick anything. They could literally just get a
Best player available, maybe.
Best player available. Get a wheel.
I was supposed to say Kyle Pitts. They wouldn't need Kyle Pitts.
No.
They hired George Payton from the Vikings as new GM. I've read a lot of good stuff about him.
Yeah.
It's always difficult when the new GM comes in. Drew Lock's not his guy. But we're thinking Carolina at 8 struggling to get a quarterback. Broncos at 9 will definitely be struggling.
Yeah.
Who do they take? Micah Parsons, maybe.
Maybe a linebacker.
Broncos a bit like Detroit, though. It's tough. It's tough to talk.
It's a tough call because they could just take anything. Surtain, if he's there.
Surtain. Yeah.
They don't need wide receivers. That's the thing. They've got they've got Jerry Jeudy. They've got
Sutherland and
they've got Sutton coming. They've got KJ Hamler. Obviously he was injured too. Like Tim Patrick was injured. I think nearly every one of their wide receivers was injured at one point that season.
Yeah.
And then obviously the game where they had no quarterbacks, they had to play a wide receiver quarterback.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's just the fact that the Broncos since Peyton retired have not given me a shred of excitement to watch.
They've never got a quarterback since.
They've never had any good starter since. But we'll see. We'll see what they. I want them. It's another team that I like and I want to do well. It's just the fact that they don't, because they don't have any. They don't have
their fan base deserve it. It has a crazy fan base. They deserve a good team.
There's so many gaps. They traded a 7th for Gerald Casey last season, and then Casey was out the full year.
Yep.
Nearly.
No, it's luck as well. Really is.
It's just the point. It's what you have to say. It's just luck at this point.
Yeah. So the Broncos.
I want them to do well, but I don't have any expectations.
Yeah. And they as we say, they've been sort of ravaged by injuries. As you say, they had no wide receivers, or they had no quarterback at one point, and they had no real wide receivers through the season.
This time next year, we'll be having the exact same conversation about Denver.
I think so.
Okay.
Yep. 100%.
So does it maybe come not from the players and the personnel, more the upstairs, the board and such, so to speak?
John Elway, well, he's now passed on GM duties, but he doesn't got many picks right.
Yeah.
No. The fact is John Elway is still probably the best quarterback they have on that whole team.
Throw him in there.
And he's their VP now.
Yep.
Okay, moving on again. From the Broncos to the Dallas Cowboys. 6-10 this season. Did the injuries that they got, and also in some ways their coaching really let them down? I mean, obviously the big injury was Prescott being injured. Do we think that was the biggest factor?
I nearly vomited when that injury happened.
That was a dodgy enough injury.
It was disgusting. Obviously, that ruined their season. They started off okay. I think he had like 2,000 yards. I think he might have had 2,000 yards when he got injured, which is very surprising for the fact that he barely played any games, which just shows how.
It was all garbage yards. So they were getting stuff. They were
getting them at the end.
They were getting them at the games. Yeah.
But if you look at it, what I've got down here, 8th in passing. There's a really weird point that I know it's going to be. I think Kurt will shut it down. Dalton went 6-5 as a starter. Do you think a team that's looking to have an old stay quarterback might bring him in?
Yeah, because
I know it's a weird question.
You said at the start there about Prescott, like him getting injured might have messed their seat. I sort of disagree with that. I think they didn't. They had a bad season, but Dalton could get picked up somewhere. Dalton still has the arm, I think. Like the throw deep down big.
Definitely does.
But I think he might need a lot of things, weapons around him, and an O-line to help him. I suppose Dallas have that.
Of course.
Also, we need to invite Skip Bayless on this when we're talking about Dallas, Clyde. Let's see. 10th pick, Patrick Surtain, if he's there.
Yep.
Hopefully we swipe him before he gets there.
That's the thing. There are so many injuries again. The defense was really bad. If you look at the names on that defense,
that cost them.
So many good players, but they're just not playing well. Like
since they get paid.
Big example, Lawrence, 6.5 sacks this year. In 2017, when he wasn't paid, he got 14.5.
There we go.
It's the fact that they're getting paid and then they're just sitting back because they're thinking, oh, we're the Dallas Cowboys, we're America's team.
Jalen Smith's the exact same.
Yeah, exactly. A point I had is Mike McCarthy a fraud?
Definitely.
I think he is.
Aaron Rodgers and need him.
Oh, yep. It's like they can show how stupid he is. Like you think about it, he was in our room, in our boardroom whenever we in the draft we drafted Alex Smith #1 and let Rodgers go 23rd to the boy Packers.
He ended up with them.
And they said, like, even I watched the documentary about them. We had told Aaron Rodgers that we're going to draft him, and we drafted Alex Smith.
But the prime example last week against the Giants, Anthony, what do you call him? Pettis. He dropped that ball. You could clearly see in the first replay he dropped the ball. McCarthy standing his arms crossed, looking up at the big screen, staring directly at it, doesn't challenge it. That could have cost them the game. That could have got them. Well, would have given them a chance to get into the playoffs. And Mike McCarthy's a fraud, but that's Jerry Jones. He's probably even bigger fraud, to be honest, his owner.
For those wondering, in case sort of there's football fans watching, that's not Mike McCarthy of the Ireland. The Irishman, that's obviously somebody different. He gives us some real casuals.
He might be better in there. Dan Quinn. Yeah. Dan Quinn is DC. That'll be interesting. I'm just glad they didn't take our secondary coach, to be honest.
They've just, again, it's a team. Jerry had such success back in the day with the trades that he made. Obviously, the Herschel Walker trade. He had one man for everything, and then made the Dallas Cowboys. But it's different. It's gonna be very interesting. I think, honestly, they can get 10. They can get 10 wins next season.
Next season, in terms of 100%. Like, I was to say, in terms of would you pay Prescott?
At this point, I think they have to. I don't think they have a choice.
I think he holds all the power.
There's no one on that level that they could get. Unless they do a madness and trade for Deshaun Watson. But
they're saying Prescott might want $40 million a year. I don't know if he's worth that either.
So much cap.
Yeah.
Like so much out of the cap.
And if he gets injured or if he's bad again, that sets them back.
And then who's going to want to trade for a $40 million a year quarterback?
Yep.
Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the only one that would have cap.
But did you say Dallas? Dallas could very easily get like 10 wins next year. But they didn't need to take CD Lamb last year. That should have been a quarterback. But no, future is bright in Dallas.
I think it was just out of spite again.
Get rid of McCarthy first.
Yeah.
And then
hire Kyle Shanahan.
Just from listening there, the players' mentality is also changed.
Dare.
What was that?
Everybody saying me so.
Dare you say that?
So and then obviously the players' mentalities need to change some capacity. You're saying that making 6.5 sacks to 14.5 a few years ago. It's just a no-brainer.
Quite a lot of players like that though. Like the minute they get paid, the production just drops.
Yeah, they play for the paycheck, and then as soon as the paycheck comes,
That's me. Yep. That's them done. Yep.
yeah. So Dallas Cowboys future's bright. A few changes needed, obviously. The Giants, then New York Giants, went 6-10 as well. They're looking at Kyle Pitts as a tight end. And the idea is that adds a bit more creativity to the offensive line. Do you agree? And do you think that's where the changes needed?
So was it Evan Ingram at tight end, but how did somehow Evan Ingram got in the Pro Bowl? I do not know. That man drops a catch every time you see him on TV.
Everything.
But Kyle Pitts, I'm going to say no.
That might be Kyle Pitts. I think is a Dallas pick. That's a pick Dallas would do.
That's something they would do.
To be fair,
that's something they probably would do.
Dallas probably do near tight end was to replace Schultz or Jarwin. But
Giants, I would go out and get another beast in defense. Their defense was really fun this year. Giants were really fun to watch. Joe Judge had them playing great. Took James Bradbury from us, and of course they took him from us. He's in the Pro Bowl in his first year, which is very typical. But they've plenty of young players. What do you think of Daniel Jones, Brian?
I don't think he's the future. I think they need to try something different. Like
we're going to agree to disagree.
11 touchdowns in 14 games, Harper.
Oh dear, I didn't know that goes against that one.
11 touchdowns in 14 games.
I'm going to blame some of that on drops.
11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, I think it was.
Wasn't that? Was he?
It was. Well, he's only got. I think he only got one rushing, so he has 12 touchdowns.
Back, I'll move on.
But Wayne Gallman impressed me after Saquon went out. Wayne Gallman played very well. I think he had like high 600 yardage. Obviously, he didn't immediately go in. I don't think he immediately went in and was the starter, but because obviously they hired they got Devontae Freeman and Devontae.
He went in first, yeah.
And then Gallman played very well. I actually thought Gallman was a receiver. I didn't realize he was.
No. Every time you seen Gallman, he was every game. He was breaking off a big run. It was like 20 yards plus every game.
He got at least one big. He got at least one big run a game.
Who you taking? Who you taking at 11 then?
I think he will lineman again. If Rashawn Slater's there,
yep,
100%.
No harm in that at all.
Falls that far, take him. Big Northwestern guy. He'll be the same as Andrew Thomas. Obviously Andrew Thomas needs to, but
he's young, but
they're both young players. It's a building platform for them, which is obviously the best decision to go for. I took Slater.
Keep Daniel Jones. Don't listen to Klein.
I'll let you say that.
Keep Daniel Jones.
The man's fast. The man is fast. I think he ran like 26 miles an hour on that run, but he fell over.
Then he fell over, but
and then he fell over.
Much just we fall over after it.
Joe Judge was very good. Joe Judge seems a very good hire. He takes no crap.
Yeah.
Future's right in New York for Giants.
For the Giants once again. So I suppose Harper, this is your revenge now. Moving on from the Giants to the San Francisco 49ers. Last year's Super Bowl finalists. Went 6.
Yep.
Here we had ask Klein how that went on.
So Klein, I think me and Harper this time we'll just sit back.
Yep.
Klein. At one stage, I think 28 players were on the IR on the injury reserve. We lost Bosa, Garoppolo, Kittle, Sherman, Raheem, Ford, Richburg, Tart, Ansa, Thomas. I'm obviously disappointed after last season. I thought this was just going to be a season of reload, do it again, which was predicted. We were so unlucky. We were unlucky in that Super Bowl. You can't. Harper would probably say it's the Kyle Shanahan curse. Threw away the Atlanta's Super Bowl as their coordinator a couple of years ago, and then throws away, and then the game we lose the Kansas. But it's no bad thing losing to Kansas.
No, definitely not.
Obviously, Salah is gone. But I do believe in Ryan's. Obviously, Trey Warner to be the best middle linebacker in the league. As Harper is wrong about being Jeremy Chin.
It's Warner.
But that's the thing. After all the injuries, we were still the 5th defense in the league.
Yeah.
After all those injuries, we still held on. If you look at it, 7th in rushing yards allowed, 4th in passing yards allowed, 5th overall. We were 19th in scoring, 15th in passing, or 12th in passing, 15th in rushing. I would be 100 again to go back to the Watson. I'd be ecstatic if we got him, but if we do trade, as I said, the human cheat code, as Kittle likes to refer to him as, of Nick Bosa, I'll be devastated because, as Harper knows, when we played the Panthers last season, he destroyed them. But I have faith in Jimmy. I do have faith in Jimmy. I like Jimmy. Team has faith in him. Kittle loves him. And if you can keep Kittle happy, I'm brilliant because he's unstoppable. Draft, I don't know. I really don't know what we're going to do. If Surtain's there, text Surtain. Well, I don't think Surtain's going to be there at 12.
No.
Do we trade up? The question Farmer's probably asks is, do we trade up? But
you 100% should trade up.
I don't know. I don't want to take a quarterback. That's the thing.
Zach Wilson.
No.
Trade Zach Wilson. Trade up to 3 with Miami. Let Miami come back. Or do what we said originally. Go out and get Watson.
But
I have faith. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. You go.
Go ahead. Okay. As you say, 6-10. You had a pretty good year. Now Salah's gone. It'll be interesting to see how you do get on. But what was I going to say? He probably will take a few Niners with him. I think it's Kyle's brother. Isn't it Mike?
I think so.
He should take him with him, but that's it, Mike. That's it is. You still have plenty of pieces there in terms of personnel. It'll be exciting again to watch your defense go. Draft will be interesting. Go ahead, Brad.
It says whatever. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
No, I was just gonna put that question forward of having a new defensive coordinator coming in, and you're obviously talking about them really good numbers in terms of defense. 5th overall and all those different things. Could it? There's obviously always the possibility of it going wrong with a new defensive coordinator coming in.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
But I mean, do you think, as Harper says, you have the pieces there? Do you think that
if we keep all the pieces, if all the pieces are still there, and we keep to the same system, I don't think Jamaica Ryan will implement an entirely new system.
No,
we're still gonna be the 4-3 defense. We're still gonna have pressure off the edge. I did one thing when as long as everyone stays fit. If we stay fit, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say 12-4. But 12-4 is a very big prediction to say for record next year. Run it back, but I do find this going to be an interesting offseason. Do we bring back Sherman? I want to. I think we're going to, but it's going to be interesting to say the least. But,
to be fair with the new coordinator, if he somehow does not get anything out of that defense, that's on him. I think neither one of us could go in and that defense could. There's the players are there. There's leaders in that defense. I think they'll take charge and they should be top five in terms of defense again, competing for the division again.
So exciting times, I suppose, again for the 49ers. Interesting times maybe is the more appropriate.
Yeah. It's when you look at it when you look at our team, it is exciting times.
Yeah.
As the most occasions, because you just watch if you just don't watch our offense, just watch the defense. There you go. Just watch the defense all the time. To be fair, Nick didn't do too badly. Nick is got better fun in my mind. I heard a point said he has got better fundamentals than Jimmy. He does. I think he's a better all around quarterback than Jimmy, but he's not Jimmy. He's Jimmy. He throws a bullet of a pass. He can do anything.
Normally to the other team.
He
agrees. There we go.
Yeah, it is good. It is right. But it's going to be interesting. I have faith.
Yeah, good times ahead. And
it's going to be interesting.
San Francisco.
So, moving on from the San Francisco 49ers to the LA Chargers, who went 7-9 this season. They're looking at a defensive tackle in the draft. Is that protection for the quarterback what's needed? Is that where they went wrong this season?
It was tight games this season. They couldn't get in the one side of the tight game. Justin Herbert is unreal. And me and probably many others, even the pros, didn't see this coming. He can run. He's got a giant arm. He's got plenty of weapons to throw to, which helps. They're realistically, I say they're only a few pieces away from contending.
Yeah. So they have the franchise man, obviously, and
they have the franchise. He's there for years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And obviously, as we say, if you build from the QB and you're sort of that's where you're meant to build from. They have that in spades, obviously.
Yeah.
Chargers, which I say, should probably best player available. I think they could just go with whoever's on the draft board.
That's like you can't really say the fact that the Chargers are one of them teams you can say they're ready to do something. Chargers just they're there. They've always just really been there. They've got they've got really great pieces. Obviously, Tranquil had a great start to the season at linebacker. Obviously picked up the big injury. It looked very, very good. But it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting because, as Kai says, best player available. That's all they can really do.
Yeah. Head coach is interesting. They're head coach.
Well, they finally got rid of Anthony Lynn, which is probably the best.
He's a good man.
He's a great player, but he's not. I like him, but he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough.
Brian Daboll,
the
Bills coordinator, I think, offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Pair him with Herbert, maybe. I think he needs an offensive mind to get even more out of him. It'd be really exciting though to see over the years him and Holmes back and forth.
Yeah.
No, I love Justin Herbert.
Yeah, it's great. In my mind, it could be offensive rookie of the year. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's up there too, but I think you should get it. I definitely think you should get it.
I agree.
So, I mean, in terms of Chargers, set with a QB, just a matter
Did he nail the head coach pick?
Yeah. head coach and just a few more little jigsaw pieces just to supplement already what is a very exciting offense, and obviously with the QB. Okay, so moving on to another team who went 7-9 in the Minnesota Vikings. Again, what I think maybe what went wrong is the wrong question to ask. I mean, I remember a few years ago they were in the playoffs. So what were the smaller things that went wrong? Maybe obviously things that went right, but there's obviously things that are going wrong.
It's the point of it's not, as you say, it's not went wrong. It's what didn't go right.
Yeah,
that's really the point. Obviously, losing Stephon Diggs to Buffalo was massive. Diggs had an amazing season. Obviously, I think he had the most receiving yards in the league this year.
He's up there anyway, yeah.
But definitely, Cousins. I don't know if Hart will agree with me at this. I don't think he is good enough. He's a great QB, but he's not. He's good, but he's franchise
not,
QB. He's not that level above.
No, he's not elite.
Not the level above. He's on the. He's
on
the levels. He's on the level. Yeah.
It's just his like he's they're all he's good, but you always want something more out of him.
Yeah.
Like you think, we've got somebody here, and the next you'll throw a pick, and you're just back to you see this far too often.
Back to square one, yeah. In terms of talking about the Vikings and the draft, I mean, you obviously aren't confident in their quarterback, but they seem to be looking more at a new edge coming in from Florida. Do you think that's the right choice, or do you think they should be going for a QB? But I suppose at this late stage. Sorry, I'm trying to get in the ramble.
No, we're going.
At this late stage in the draft, it'd be your QBs wouldn't be what you're sort of looking for, or
that wouldn't be
standard.
That's at that stage, and it's going to thin out. But
go ahead.
They have got gaps. Obviously, they lost Everson Griffin last year to Dallas, and then I think did he leave Dallas again, didn't he? Or is he still?
He went to Detroit.
Yes. They lost big pieces. Daniil Hunter is obviously still there. But yeah, another edge threat might be the way to go. Obviously, Barr will be coming back. Barr, such a good player. He'll come back and change the defense again. But yeah, I don't know. Light edge would probably be the way I would go. They've got great pieces. It's just the point it's the same thing as the Chargers. They've got it all. Yep, that's the point.
I think Mike Summer. I think if they don't have a good year this year, I think Mike Summer will probably get sacked.
Definitely. Yeah.
This year was really disappointing. Obviously they lost Diggs, but Justin Jefferson made up for that mainly. That was a nailed on pick.
Well,
if they didn't nail it,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What are you saying?
Well, it is bad when your own wide receivers are shouting at your quarterback to throw
the ball.
Thielen was on the sideline shouting in his face and Cousins' face. He's missing wide open calls. Like I watched Justin Jefferson's mic'd up.
There's that video he's swearing at him. They threw the ball.
I swear he's so open, and he just decided he just didn't throw to him. It's just he just doesn't. I think what Cousins does, he locks onto someone, and he's going to throw to them. He doesn't get this second and third option.
He can't get past his first read. Just as you say, he's locked on. He doesn't look at the second and third options, and he just releases. But I think defense for the way to go. I think they're a bit short. Interesting though. They're in a tough division.
Yeah.
No.
Along with Green Bay and Chicago, like it sets up for a good few years ahead in that division.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of the Vikings, definitely needs improvement in the QB, which is obviously a stark contrast to the Chargers, who have a QB that's set. I mean, do we say that they're similar to the Chargers in that there's a few pieces missing, or do we think they're still a ways off from?
There's more than a few missing, I think.
Yeah.
More than a few missing.
Minnesota.
Okay, yeah. I mean, moving on to, well, in terms of, and from my perspective, to the New England Patriots going in 7-9, I thought it was a big shock. I thought with Cam Newton coming in, obviously he's not Tom Brady, but I mean, I thought Cam Newton might have done better than what he's done. From the Super Bowl to this, is Brady the big difference?
I'm still saying no. Belichick doesn't get enough credit. Obviously, Brady is the GOAT.
Yeah.
It's a 7-9 is, I think, it's a very good season.
Yeah.
There's a game Newton threw for 30 yards in one of the games. How they managed to get 7 wins with him at quarterback. Obviously, he missed a few games with COVID.
Yeah.
7-9 with that team. Like, they still have a lot of pieces. I think it's all credit to Belichick, but he's not going to get any credit because it's just going to be
It was
Brady
Brady.
this, Brady that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's not tartning his career.
Tarnishing.
Tarnishing.
Yes, fine.
Yeah.
It's not tarnish. It tarnishes the fact that he is so good. He's so good, and he's just. It's the fact that they'll always say, "Oh, well, you aren't winning now because you haven't got Brady."
Yeah.
It was
always going to happen.
It was 7-9. I expected. I was thinking. I think I said to Harper, I thought they were going to get 3 1s.
Yeah.
I was thinking 3 1s.
Top 5.
It was very surprising. Just Jacoby Meyer starting quarterback next season, Harper.
Let's go for it. 7-9.
150 passing rating.
7-9. I did it damaged.
It does
damage for a few years because they're around that middle halfway nearly.
Yeah, middle ground.
Best player available, I think. Again,
that is kind of the philosophy. I think it is just best player available at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's my next question is that they're looking, from what I read, they're looking at a new QB quarterback in the draft, but again, it's sort of similar to.
That's Mac Jones. Mac Jones went there around. Were they 15, 14, 15?
But I mean,
Mac Jones, Alabama. He had a good year, but he's a big risk. But Belichick might think he has no other option. I don't think Cam's going to go back. And they're not going to go with Jared Stidham.
No.
But they definitely will be picking top 5 next year.
Best player available in my mind.
Yeah.
It's the only way they can really go. Winning that many games is just like wrecked them, because they should have just tried to lose as many as possible.
They might
could do.
See if they pick up an extra second round pick or something.
It's the Belichick special, trading back.
True.
But it's disappointing, but it's also good that they've done so well with what they had.
I'm really nervous if I was a New England fan, because I don't know what to expect for the next few years.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we think that if Belichick, you obviously think that if Belichick goes,
he walks. Like, once he walks.
The team's never going to win a game every game.
So Zeno could be a full reset if he walks. Like, it's to be full on tank.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt like everybody in the league will want the New England job. Like, you're not going to turn that down.
No. Definitely not. So for New England, fair play to Belichick. But the player, there's more than a few pieces missing. Again, similar to the Vikings, there's more than a few pieces missing there. Definitely needs a bit of a revamp. When you get to 7-9, it's a lot of teams that are there ready to go, or it's the teams that have overachieved. As we said, the Vikings and the Chargers. Chargers definitely ready to go. Vikings nearly there. But yeah, Patriots is a team that I think just overachieved badly.
Yeah.
Overachieved.
That's going to hamper them. Yeah.
But when it's a Belichick ran team, you are going to overachieve.
Well, he'll take young rookies who even undrafted, and he'll make you into a player. He'll throw you into the fire, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So moving on from the Patriots, to the Arizona Cardinals, who went 8-8 this season. I mean, not a bad season, definitely not. I mean, you're sort of level. But where do we think they go from here?
Klein might agree with me on this. I think 8-8 was a poor season, especially from where they started off.
Well,
I did expect more.
Yeah, so did I.
Good point. You're exactly right. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I wrote down. Obviously, injuries during the year. Zane Gonzalez was injured. Their kicker, Larry Fitzgerald. Kyler was obviously injured near the end. Jordan Hicks, Jonathan Joseph, Chandler Jones, and then Marcus Gilbert never played. Just opted out. Obviously, if you want to opt out of a season where COVID was an issue, fair play, do it. Go ahead. Can't really argue about it. Hopkins was brought in, absolute steal of a trade.
Bill O'Brien special.
Hopkins obviously best player for me in that team this season, but Hopkins. But here's the thing: he had 12 touchdowns less than Devontae Adams out of the Packers, with the same amount of catches. 12 touchdowns less.
Yep.
For your franchise wide receiver, obviously, it's a point they're throwing to him 24/7, getting down the field, and then they're going to someone else, or they're going to the running game in the red zone. Kenyon Drake, obviously, great season. But I expected more. Unlucky not to get the playoffs. Obviously, they're playing in the NFC West. It's a very hard division, as I know, but it's arguably the best division in the league. Like, you're not going to get easy ones. They did have some weeks where they were unlucky not to win. Couple down here. Week 3 against the Lions, no points in the fourth quarter. Week 9 against the Dolphins, didn't get any points in the fourth quarter again, and they were winning going into the fourth.
We beat them week 3 or something.
Yeah, you beat them. You beat them convincingly. I know. Jesus Christ. You beat them 10 points. I think you beat them 31-21. I think.
Yeah, it was comfortable.
And then the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots, and they didn't score a single point in the second or the third quarter. There's easily there. They would have been 11-5.
They shouldn't have put themselves in the situation they were in.
No.
Going to LA in the last game of the season.
Obviously, it was. Yep.
Draft
pick. Again, who do you go for? That's the point of where they need to go.
Because he's not going to be there.
Baker and Hicks. No. Butter Baker and Hicks had 118 tackles each.
Yep.
So they don't really need to go defense. They don't really need to. They could get defense. Maybe Patrick Peterson's getting older.
Yep.
They might decide to go for it.
O-line, maybe just sure him up.
It's again maybe an O-lineman. Yep. If again people drop, or there's, I forget some of the names of the players, but there are some other people that are those mid-round draft picks who could be picked in the first round because they're needed.
Yep.
Or they could just trade back.
Yep. Other receivers need help. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. No, you were going.
Other receivers, they need help, DeAndre Hopkins, or even give Kyler more options. Christian Kirk. He's quite quiet, and Andy Isabella doesn't get involved at all. I don't know if that's a schemes they're using or what. But it's a big year next year.
As a run guy. It is a big year, yep, 100%.
Questions we asked of coaching if it's another per year. Kingsbury's under big pressure.
Happy enough with the Cardinals.
A team that should do better next year. I expect them. It's going to be really weird because I expect every single team in our division next year to do well. It's going to be a really good watch. next season.
They'll be competitive. Sorry.
It's gonna be,
Next year again. Yeah.
it's gonna be a very interesting year again. They could get playoffs. They might not. It is going to be in my mind. It's going to be a wild card pick if they do get a chance. They're not going to win the division.
No.
But 100%. They have a good chance next year. Reload, get in maybe another couple of players, free agents.
Yeah.
That could be brought in. But yeah, going to be very interesting. I enjoy it. Obviously, they let us play in their stadium, but near the end, after Santa Clara just decided no more sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair play to them. Good team, like their players, like their quarterback. It's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Before we move on, I'm going to propose taking a short break. I know maybe we should have taken a break just before talking about the playoffs, but I mean, we only have another 2 teams and then playoffs. Just a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. After a short break, I think a deserved break after such a long session of just chatting. But we'll continue. Moving on, obviously, from the Cardinals to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think you 3 have a lot to say here, so I'll just sit back and enjoy.
The biggest throw of a season I've ever seen. They were 6-2, 6-2, and they went 8-8. How does that happen? They started off so well and then just fell off. It's the point of, is this Gruden's thing? This always seems to happen to Gruden.
It surely has to be on Gruden, doesn't it?
It's so. I don't understand how you go from 6-2 to 8-8.
Like, they walked into Arrowhead Stadium with the Chiefs play, and it was tight. Well, they scored 40 something points, and they dominated most of it. And you thought, right, this. I even said, dude, this Raiders team is serious. I was jumping on the bandwagon, but no, that fell away. Questions in defense, even though they have quite a.
There is gaps.
There's gaps. They have a few good players on it, but there's gaps.
I must say, I like Cleveland Farrell, who they took as a shock pick a couple of years ago, really early. He's done well. I do like him. I like Max Crosby as well.
Max Crosby off the Munster, yeah.
There's questions.
It's more defense, though.
It is. There is questions in some places. Who was it? They took Arnett. Is Arnett, isn't his name? That corner.
Arnett, a corner. Yeah.
It was a weird pick. It was really. He wasn't. I think he was predicted 3rd round.
I think it was them just trying to be different. They were taking players and nobody expected them to
That's the thing. That's the thing. The Raiders' philosophy for years and years: speed, and more speed.
Speed.
Obviously, with Henry Ruggs, it paid off because Ruggs is very good.
He's great.
But there's the fact that they've got such a good O-line. Hodgson, Trent Brown, who I miss from the 49ers. So good when he was with us.
They have a guard as well. His right guard came out. His name's something. But he's unreal as well. There's nothing wrong with that offense.
Jackson.
Gabe Jackson. Yep. There's nothing wrong with the offense. It's more the defense. Carr had a very good year. And when you have boys like Darren Waller they throw to, he's a wide receiver and tight end.
Darren Waller, he's a great and as Harper knows his story. He did his interview earlier in the year. Story.
That was very inspirational.
It was a very, very good watch. Very sad. If he's
going if he's YouTuber, it's on YouTube. You'll find it.
It's on YouTube. Darren Waller, great story. He was a drug addict, as he said himself.
Yep.
And
he's taking his
own
college.
He's gone from that to being the number 3 in my mind, the number 3 time in the league.
Yeah,
100%. Obviously, the exciting Josh Jacobs, touchdown every game. Great.
No, Jake,
I
good
think
pick.
he had to get a touchdown every game. Very good pick. Another one. It's where the Raiders are taking these unexpected picks and getting them very good. Josh Jacobs, didn't expect him to be that good. Came on, brilliant player. He's they could say he's carrying that team sometimes, but very good player. It's just the fact that the Raiders. It's another one that we're saying it's disappointing. It's very disappointing.
The talent's there, and they didn't get over the line.
It's the fact that they were doing so well and then just fell off.
Yeah, it's such a strong start, like 6-3.
It has to be on John Gruden. I don't know what some of his decisions or what, but I don't know who else they point the finger at, put the blame on. I mean, you're getting paid, was it $10 million a year for 10 years contract? Like, you need results. Playoffs next year, or questions asked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely.
So I mean, in terms of the Raiders, obviously room for improvement.
It doesn't help when you're in the division with the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
So I mean, they have the personnel there. Is it similar to the Chargers in that there's just a few pieces missing, or are the pieces already in place? They just need to.
I think they need. They think that
few pieces.
They need DBs. They need defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem. That's where the problem lies. Another linebacker or some DB defensive backs. That's what they need. If they can get those secured, good picks.
Keep who they have.
Another team that can go at least another 2 wins. They should have had at least another 2 wins this year.
It should have been in
it's a team that should be away. They're never going to win that division unless Patty Mahomes, God forbid, dies.
For legal reasons, we do not condone Mahomes passing away.
I said God forbid. I said God forbid.
You may hope no Chiefs fans are watching this.
God forbid does not stand in court.
No Chiefs fan will get stabbed. God forbid. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, interesting times ahead.
It's another time, interesting times.
So moving on to the final team that finished outside of the playoffs, the best of the rest, and I'm proud to wear it. The Miami Dolphins went 10-6. Definitely not a bad season. Yep. I was chatting to a friend in work, and I'm just curious to see what the both of you think on this point. He said, "Good culture, not good personnel."
Oh,
maybe not. It wasn't that exact quote, but something to that effect.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever said that though. I disagree. I think strongly with that. Did he mean in terms of coaches?
I think he might have meant the players more.
Oh, because I say Brian Flores is unreal.
Brian Flores is very good.
I think when he said
in terms of players, I think they have weapons everywhere in terms of an offense. We'll speak about two after. Receivers, they're stacked. There's rumors they might take Devontae.
Yeah, well, that's
Smith.
Yeah, that's the thing. From
defense on Magic. They must have been top 3 in the league in terms of defense.
I'm not 100% sure they might have won, but
they were right up there against the Rams. I think that game that was Tua's first game. Defense just won it for them. Turnover after turnover. No, Dolphins can be pleased that season. Dolphins, we always slag, crack yourself year after year how bad the Dolphins were.
Yeah, there was definitely no hope.
It's finally the point where they're going to be good. It's finally the point where they finally deserve to be good. It's been a season of the good teams, a lot of shock bad teams, and then it's not really good teams.
Yeah.
The question's two though. Did Miami keep him? Let him have another year, or
he's being kept out of the team by Fitz Magic, and every time Fitzgerald comes,
Patrick.
I knew he was saying Patrick. Just
You
you can tell it's late. You can tell it's late. Fitzpatrick, he's just one of them QBs that just keeps coming back, has the bright spots, and then might have a bad game, and then the next week he's back. The next week and he's back. He's brought them back into games. I don't think they should trade him. I don't think they should trade Tua. I think they need to keep Tua.
I think the coordinator held him back a bit. They didn't let him do things he can. They were too safe with him.
That's the thing. Obviously, he had the injury in college before he came in, which took him out of being the first pick.
Hip surgery, yeah.
Got the hip surgery. Understandably they're holding him back. They don't want him to get hurt again. But he can do much more than what he's doing at the minute. Much more.
So as they get this year, they'll hopefully hoping a full off season. I think it was each team. I think they were saying they missed out on about 1,500 snaps in training worth of plays.
Oh yeah.
So you had that in, like, that's a lot of time in practice you're missing out on. You can't really gel.
Exactly.
No, don't trade to.
No. Keep them both. I'd keep them both.
Keep them both. No, there's no harm. Yeah.
It's the fact. Obviously you can't say nothing about a 10-6 team being poor. 10-6. It was just very unlucky that they didn't get playoffs. Very unlucky.
Just a few very good results going our way, or a few differences in terms of results could have seen the difference.
That goes away for everyone, because obviously I said earlier, Cardinals could have beat the Dolphins, but they didn't score and they didn't score in any in the quarters they needed to.
Yeah.
But they're really they're enjoyable to watch. I like the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They really are enjoyable to watch. There is a point they say it's Brian Flores just brought the Patriots with him. But who cares?
Exactly.
It's a great show.
And they're even far more exciting than the Patriots. The Patriots were good, but they weren't. You wouldn't say they were fun to watch. The Patriots.
Like when Van Noy was at the Patriots, he was great player, and he came to the Dolphins, and he's just kept it up. There's been no change in Van Noy's play effort. He's actually probably, if it seems of it, he's got better.
And then Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. Cornerback.
Like it was a mental to see Byron Jones go from Dallas. I didn't expect Byron Jones to be put out of Dallas, but he was, and then he's been put in a team that uses him better.
Yep. His ball skills have seemed to improve. There was always talk he wasn't a ball hawk, but
he's got much better.
Sometimes he's making plays on the ball. And there's talk that if Xavier Howard might be even a consideration for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Which
deserves
is
it.
high
Deserves
praise.
it.
You're competing with the likes of Aaron Donald and boys like that. But
deserves it indeed. Definitely does deserve it.
Exciting times ahead, man.
Yeah,
roll it on.
Yeah. So that's the non-playoff teams covered, and we've just spent the guts of 2 hours talking about that. So God knows how long we're going to spend in the playoffs here.
Stick with us.
Yeah. So to start off, from what I've got written down here, the Browns beat the Steelers. That's the 6th seed beating the 3rd seed. Was that a shock? Did you think?
No, to me it wasn't.
I'm still going to say yes. It was.
Okay. It's the curse. As I said earlier, it's the curse of Osi. Osi Osimura said the song was going to be bad. Happened to the Steelers, and it did. They were 28-0 down in the first quarter. They can say, they got 37 points. It was garbage time. It was
garbage
just
yards. Yeah.
Brown. That's a sad thing for the Steelers now, because one of the people I watch was because that game, the yards Roethlisberger got, he's got an excuse to keep playing. And the Steelers, a lot of Steelers fans, I don't think want from what the Steelers fans I've looked at, don't want Roethlisberger anymore.
No, they're looking at alternatives. Yeah.
There's questions at Mike Tomlin as well. But Mike Tomlin's a great head coach.
Yeah.
I don't have anything about Mike Tomlin. But some great players in that team. The Steelers team, Claypool, really impressed from a guy that I don't think was even going to be near anything that good.
No.
Very, very good player. But Cleveland, really, it's finally time that Cleveland do well. Just like the Dolphins.
It did surprise me. Obviously, Cleveland had their head coach Stefanski and quite a few players out with COVID.
Yeah.
And the specials teams coach was taking over as head coach. And I don't know what he said in the change rooms before they came out, but even the first play, obviously they spiked it and went over Ben's head.
Yeah.
For the first touchdown. But the Browns players still had to make it to the ball. They still had to they were more eager. They had more fight. They wanted it more, I think, throughout the whole game.
It's been a regime change.
Stefanski's been outstanding.
Made them want to play more. They finally got rid of Hugh Jackson and all the huge. But it's the time now. They've got someone they want to play for, and they're going to play for him. What is very interesting, I seen the other day, and I don't really believe it, and I don't know if it's actually, when looking at the teams that are left, Baker Mayfield is the oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs now. He's 25. It does show a lot of that there is that many promising quarterbacks.
He's been great since Odell's been took out of the team. I think Odell maybe didn't put the pressure on himself, but in the back of Baker's mind, maybe he was thinking, I need to keep putting the ball in Odell's hands. But now he can spread it about the offense. He's making his passes. He's seeing his reads. He's taking his time. And he's back to his best. I think it's like his rookie season. It's really exciting though for Cleveland.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll obviously come back to Cleveland when we talk about their next game against the Chiefs. Moving on, the Bills beat the Colts in a particularly close game, 24-27.
I think Harper will agree with me here and say that was unusually close.
It was.
It was really poor game from the Bills. Josh Allen, in my mind, could take them to the Super Bowl very easily.
Yeah.
This year, he's been a phenomenal. He got Stephon Diggs, and it's completely changed. Like Diggs, obviously over 1,500 yards, most receiving yards in the league.
Yeah.
He's got. I know he's only young, and it's not really saying finally he's got players to throw to, but he's got marquee talent now in that team, and they've just got better and better, and
I expect the Bills to win that quite easy. Colts are a great outfit.
Yeah, they are.
But Colts, when I watched the game, Colts should have won that game. I think Frank Reich and Coach McDermott, they were in position to make plays in the red zone. They didn't come away with the points.
Yep.
Early on in the game, I think they had a chance to go 10 points up. Came to 4th and goal. Bad play call, didn't make it. And then they get punished. Josh Allen is doing what he does best. Good strong arm. And at the end of the day, they came out with a win, no matter how they played.
Yep. No matter what happens, it was a win. But, two teams that... it'll be interesting what happens to the Colts now. Rivers, can still go.
I think he'll go another year. I think
it's the same situation as like the Brady's and the Breeze. Rivers has always been a great quarterback. Always really good. But what quarterback wouldn't be good behind that O-line?
I think it's now that we need to make is. It's always what if.
It is. It's the
It's like
one.
what he's. It's one of these. That's
He's
he
spent
needs.
so
He
long
needs.
on the
He
Chargers.
needs a Super Bowl. Yeah, he
He
needs a Super
deserves.
Bowl.
He deserves a Super Bowl for all that's happened in his career. Obviously, he was involved in the Eli Manning scandal when Eli didn't want to go to the Chargers, and then the Giants
ended up with them.
The Giants picked him, and they swapped picks.
Swap picks. Yeah.
I actually seen that they didn't. No one from the Giants had even phoned him that they were picking him. He never spoke to anyone from the Giants. He deserves to be he deserves to get into the Super Bowl at least.
Yeah.
But unfortunately this season he didn't. It's just the luck of the draw really. Looking at the other games, if they did get the Bears or something, definitely they might have got through with the Bears. It's just the point of no, they can't get the Bears.
They're in the different divisions there.
That's what I was about to say. It's about to say completely different things. But it's just the luck of the draw, really. The playoffs, the way they got there. But yeah.
Happy to move on. The Ravens beat the Titans.
I text Clyde before that game. I was confident Titans would have came out on top of that. I was proved wrong.
It's a game in case they started off well and did fuck all.
Titans.
Sorry, swearing,
but goodbye monetization, I suppose.
Goodbye monetization.
Titans played well. Missed opportunities though, and Lamar back to his best, running the ball. I think I want the Titans to win too. I don't know why. I just had a feeling they did. Good strong team, and Mike Vrabel's he's a hard head coach. Players play for him, but it was a good one away from home for the Ravens.
Wasn't it? Kai knows my views on Lamar Jackson.
Oh. The running back, Glenn. The
running back that plays quarterback. He did. I think he was the lowest. I think they did have the lowest passing yards in the league this year. The Ravens. But I'm more. It's just the fact that they do. It's the same thing as Harbour knows with Taysom Hill, constantly running from the backfield. But yeah, he's warming to me. He is warming to me. But he's a great player, no matter what I say. But just undeserved, just unlucky from the Titans. Really scored 10 points. We're 10-0 up early. Just didn't get anything else done.
Missed opportunities,
yeah.
Again, moving on again, the Rams beat the Seahawks. Of course, the season before's Super Bowl finalists.
That was a really bad game to watch. Yeah. Actually, regretting watching it.
It's just a tale of two defenses, really.
Seattle were shocking. If Texans playing through it, Seattle were unbelievable.
No, it's just the fact that it's a team that you look at them. They should be Super Bowl every year with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's amazing.
He was pathetic in that game. He was so frustrating to watch.
The argument put forward is he was playing Aaron Donald.
And he was also playing Jalen Ramsey. Metcalf couldn't get away from him. That's a few games now. Ramsey's having locked up.
It's just they have the fact that they are closing them off. They couldn't stop.
He struggled to get out. Yeah. He struggled. Wilson struggled to get outside the pocket, which is his best when the play's broken down. He can get outside the pocket and go deep. One of their touchdowns was like that, but he was contained within the pocket, and then when he went to step up, bang, he gets sacked. You're running straight into Aaron Donald. Only one thing's going to happen. On your back, that's about it.
Was very sad for Wolford getting hurt.
That's an interesting one. I don't know if that was a dirty hit or if it was not.
I don't know if it was either.
I wouldn't be surprised though with Adams.
Adams wasn't looking at him. Adams dived, didn't probably know he was diving himself. Just sad that he had to get taken away in an ambulance. He did, and if you've seen the tunnel cam, whenever they opened the doors, whenever they opened the doors, they take him down the tunnel, down to the room when he just went off. He did nearly collapse. So it's obviously it might be something bad. It probably is something bad, but
it was a rubbish game overall.
The one thing I do like Seahawks, Carlos Dunlap. It was one player that after getting traded from Cincinnati to the Seahawks, one player that I've always liked, Dunlap. He deserved to be on a good team, and he proved it.
You done well, yeah.
He did very good. Just a player that I just want to mention him. He did very well. Just unfortunate that they picked up the loss. Goff kind of came on and proved himself a wee bit.
Yeah, still don't think. Yeah, he's
still obviously with a thumb injury, he's not going to play as well. Can't throw the ball that well.
Yeah,
but unfortunate for the Seahawks. It was just a game of two defenses, really.
Yeah.
But it was just a point that either team could have won, really. So just.
Moving on to a team that has, I think, Mr. Harper's favourite quarterback in Drew Brees. The Saints, they beat the Bears.
I watched that Sunday night. I was actually dreading it because I thought this is going to be. I suppose it did end out a bit of a rout, didn't it? Bears hung in there for long enough, but only key turning point early on was obviously Trubisky threw deep to Wims, right in the end zone, straight through his hands.
Yeah,
would have been a touchdown. Would have brought it. I think it would have been tied game maybe. The Bears defense hung in there long enough. They held Brees. They contained them until eventually they were on the field too long. Then tiredness kicks in.
Yeah.
Then Brees was starting to pick them off. Which is really hard to watch because I cannot stand the Saints. Obviously, with being in Carolina's division, I didn't expect much from the Bears. It was more hoping than anything.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to, by the sound of things, you have to sort of tip your hat to Brees. I mean, he had the wherewithal and the nous to tire out the Bears and then in the end take them out. But I mean, we'll get to the Bears or the Saints and their chances. Later on, the Bears. I mean, obviously, getting to the playoffs is a big thing, or obviously, it's a good foundation to go off of for next season, and hopefully they can build on that for next season.
Well, it was good that Trubisky got the kick that he needed. After being benched, he's stewed in the bench, and then he finally got his chance again, and then. He's proved himself more. He's proved himself that he wants to play. It looked the point of he was getting thingway. He didn't look as if he was all in there. But now it shows after getting benched, losing his starting role, he's got that he now knows that he needs to give it his all.
And he shouldn't even got benched in the first place.
Exactly.
Foles has been purred a bit politely.
Foles is a backup quarterback, and then that's what it is.
If Bears don't, I don't think Bears don't have a good year next year. The fans, especially, and I think Matt Nagy will be gone. I think. There's talk of GM. He's not ideal either.
Yeah.
But suppose they made the wild card at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, it was good that Nagy stepped down from his play calling roles.
Yeah,
he needed to do that. So they've got to the point now. They can do better. They can do better. Maybe another couple of pieces on they need another couple of pieces on the offense.
They need plenty on offense. Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting. as to whether they fall off or they get better.
And the final game it was the Bucks who beat Washington.
Another one of my favorites.
What do you think?
Very unlucky. Taylor Heineke, fucking amazing, really good, very entertaining. Might have just secured him a job somewhere. He played very well, maybe, but even if he secured the Washington job, he might start maybe for Washington. But very, very, very good. Wish they did win, but obviously Brady.
What was that text? I said I thought it was going to be. I thought Washington would have hammered them. They didn't hammer them. Washington hung in there, to be fair. But the Bucks were never losing that game.
No.
Well, some of the throws they made were very good, but obviously not at his elite level. They did go negative. They were the best of the worst division.
And then Rookie of the Year Chase Young calling out Brady and didn't lay a hand on him. Sure. Oh, well.
No butters there again. Let's just clear that up. Harper's definitely. There's no.
Nothing there.
So, are we happy to move on to now sort of predictions and how we think?
Prediction time. Yep. Let's go.
Prediction time indeed.
Okay. So first off, we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cleveland Browns.
Browns, but it won't be they're not Browns from Chiefs.
That's a bit to say.
Sorry, mine's away. I was going to say Browns will put on a fight. I was thinking Browns will put on a fight. It won't be a blowout. Chiefs, obviously, are the Chiefs. But yeah, it's going to be the Chiefs, but it's going to be.
Harper.
I'll go Chiefs as well. I think Browns will take an early lead. People then will be like, "Oh, is this going to be Browns?" And then once again, Patty Mahomes brings it back, and
the class will shine through.
Chiefs will win by. I'll give them 8 points. 8 points more.
Good shout.
Yeah. So we're going Chiefs in that game, obviously.
What are you packing? Were you going Chiefs or?
I mean, I might as well. I mean, I'm casual, so I might as well. Obviously, the Browns might do it. The Browns having an ex-Dolphins player, wide receiver. What's his name?
Landry.
Jarvis Landry. There's my commitment. Maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, Patrick Holmes in the Super Bowl last year was just an absolute monster. So I mean, I think important.
If Browns did win, though, I would not be completely shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple of games that's this season. Chiefs have been sketchy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, there's always that sort of complacency side of things coming in, and I mean, Harper, you made the point that the Browns wanted it more than the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's always said that hard work beats talent every day of the week. So.
Yep.
But
Stefanski will have them ready, 100%.
Yeah. Moving on, the Bills or the Ravens. Klein, go ahead.
I've gone Bills. I have gone Bills.
Okay.
I could be entirely wrong. It could just be a Ravens. It just could be a Lamar Jackson special.
Yeah.
But I've gone Bills. I want the Bills. I want Bills all the way.
Absolutely. Harper?
Bills at top. Josh Allen wins in this one yet.
Yeah.
And it's at home. At home plays in that big time.
Definitely.
Obviously the stadiums aren't packed, but it still helps.
Do we see any chance for the Ravens? I mean, I'm obviously going to
100%.
protect
100%. 100%. They could just.
It'll come down to Lamar again, though. It'll come down to Lamar.
It could be a game where J.K. Dobbins has a route, the running back. It's going to be very interesting.
The Bills should be forcing Lamar though to throw. They should be.
They have to.
Stuff the run and make him take a few. Make him take his steps back, make him throw. I think if they do that, Lamar, I don't think Lamar has a talent yet. They throw them, they won a game.
Yep.
Yeah. So so we're saying Chiefs v Bills in
Conference game.
But the conference game. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Moving on then to the next division or the other divisional round games. You have the Packers. I can't even remember right now.
Rams.
The Rams.
Rams
There we are.
Packers.
Yeah. Packers and the Rams.
Rams at the Packers.
Rams and the Packers. There we are. Okay, I'll learn someday. So the Rams at the Packers. Harper, go you first this time for the divisional rounds.
Packers by
Ooh.
10 points or more. I think Packers won really comfortably.
Convincingly.
Convincingly. Go ahead, Clyde.
Yeah, Packers. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Do you think Aaron Rodgers?
I think Goff's playing as well, but whether his thumb holds up.
It's Packers were an interesting team for me this season. I thought they were actually going to end up being cursed as well because they had a lot of close games.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it might have been an Or-Cedar situation where they fell off, but obviously Rodgers is Rodgers.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You always have a chance, I suppose. Yeah.
You always have a chance when you have Rodgers.
Aaron Donald needs to make play after play.
He has to get through.
But Jalen Ramsey against Devontae Adams is going to be magic to watch.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
There'll be fights galore in that.
Could be a game when Tonyan again pulls the best, plays a big game.
I think Devontae beats Ramsey though.
Yeah, if you've seen a play that Lazard made the other week, and Alan Lazard
talent
obviously stepped up. He's a great player. It's gonna be a good game. It's definitely gonna be, and it's not. I don't think, as you say, it's gonna be over 10 points, but I think it will be later on where they get the separation.
The Rams will hang in there.
They'll start out slow enough, maybe only like maybe a touchdown each in the first half. I know it's a big shout, but it's going to be very interesting.
I think there's going to be snow as well, which will obviously play into Green Bay's hand.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say the Rams, just again, sort of go against the grain. Might as well. And then the final divisional round game.
Oh dear.
Saints v the Bucks. I think we can safely say we know that Harper's not going to go for the Saints.
Is it? It's who I think will win, isn't it? It's who I think will win.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Who you think? Who you predict?
Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that?
I thought it was what I'm saying, but I think third time lucky, and I think Brady and that wide receiver core starting to gel.
Yeah.
I've seen bits against the Bears that Bears wide receivers had chances but didn't make the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Evans, Antonio Brown, and Godwin are going to take them chances.
Yep.
I'm going to say Bucks won by. I'm going to give them 8 points.
Okay.
I think we're going to go in and stun Breeze, finish Breeze's career.
Yeah. I mean, just before we move on, is that your head, Harper?
Yep.
Is that your heart?
No, that's my head.
That's all I was thinking. Okay, no, I'm just curious. Klein, go ahead.
Well, I think it's gonna be Saints. I know playoff Brady's
a different animal.
Completely different. Playoff Brady.
Psycho Tom.
It's obviously, you can see his record. He's got the most he has got the most touchdowns ever in the playoffs, hasn't he?
He's ridiculous, right?
Something like that stuff. It's just the fact that I think they'll edge it out because of Alvin Kamara. Alvin has had such a good season. Unluckily, he got put out with COVID in the last week. The COVID scare. But I think it's the fact that the Bucks defense has been sketchy in the defensive backs at some points.
That's what panics me.
Obviously their front line's amazing. Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaki Barrett, very, very good players. But it's gonna be a good game. I think he might be right. It's gonna be one of the teams. I'm going to say Saints win, but if it isn't a Saints win, it's still going to be 8 points. It's going to be 8 points either way.
It's whether it's all about third downs key. Climbing you were chatting about. Yeah. I've never seen a team like Saints in third down offense. Right. Third and long, they'll make it every time. The Bucks need to get off the field in third down, and keep Breeze off the field as much as possible. And let Brady.
Yeah, let Brady use that game management. I mean, if we're moving on to my prediction, I think this time I'm not going to go with the just go against the grain. I think taking both arguments into consideration, obviously you've both had genuinely. I mean, you've both made genuinely really good cases, for both sides.
What we're just going to say here.
It's the Psycho Tom that I think does it for me, and he's
gone the box.
You make the point that yes, the Saints are unbelievable when it comes to third downs, but I mean we've seen for years and years that when it comes to Tom Brady and third down, in terms of playoffs, there's nobody, or and even in the Super Bowl, which is the biggest stage of them all, third down when it comes to Tom Brady, and
yeah.
I think
they're both.
I think the Bucs do.
They're both. Yeah. They're both obviously amazing quarterbacks. Both of the two could see them go down as two of the best in history.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be if it is a swan song to both of them this season. I don't think it will be a swan song to Brady, but it will be a swan. I think it's gonna be the last season. I think of Brady's because he can't get hurt like that again after what we did to him.
I was going to say too, it's a late kickoff. I think it's 11:40 kickoff. It's a really weird time. But I think I'm going to watch it, and it'll just be the excitement to my face when Bucs went off the field with a win, and Bree's career is done, and then my Panthers will finally have a chance to win the division.
Okay. I think we're definitely gonna, once the Super Bowl's been played and the dust is settled, I think we're gonna come back and do a very similar to this here. We're gonna go through game by game.
Yeah. We're doing a prediction. We're doing a predictions now for the rest game as well.
I think we should just predict who we think's gonna win. The winner of the Super Bowl winner. And then we can, when we come back, we're not covering old ground.
Do the conference championship games now then. Go.
Well,
it's really to see who's thinking. We're doing winner now. We're doing
that's what I'm thinking. Is we go straight for the winner or
right.
Do a winner now.
Go ahead, Perkle.
Super Bowl winner. I think it's hard to look past the Chiefs again. I know I predicted the Browns to beat them, but I just think it's too hard to look past the Chiefs. Mahomes just such a player.
Right.
I want to say Bulls so badly, and I might just do it. I'm going to say Bulls. I think they might get there. I think they will beat out the Chiefs. I'm going to say Bulls. It's just the fact that it would be cool to see. It's actually just a shot in the dark. Bulls.
I'm going to join you, Klein. I have my money on the Bulls as well, as I told you the other week.
You done, dude?
There's an extra there then for Harvard.
Yeah, so I think the Bulls will beat. I think I'll now play Mahomes, and I think it'll be Bills Packers.
Oh, okay.
And
Bills.
I hope to I like the Bills. I hope Josh Allen comes out top.
Yeah.
So there we have it. After a long and strenuous session, we've all made our predictions. I think we're always going to come back after the Super Bowl, as I said, after the dust settles, and do an in-depth review on the playoff games and how they went and what obviously you two thought was the telling difference and such. In terms of the football podcast, there's not going to be one this week. Obviously, we put our focus on this since there's an FA Cup weekend passed last weekend. But there will be a special coming out later on. I'm sure those of you that follow the Premier League will be able to put 2 and 2 together and work out who that'll be focused on. So I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you very much for watching. I
Thank you.
hope,
Thank you very much.
and I'm 95% sure you just got an absolute education if you watched the whole thing from Harvard and Klein, because I absolutely did, and it was just fascinating to listen to you. Please, obviously, like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter's down below. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.